Okay, so today is November the 9th, and it's 1:46 p.m. It's a Wednesday, and the year is 2022. And these are the thoughts that I had after reading Titus 2. Titus is a book in the Bible that Paul is writing to his son Titus, his beloved son. So he say in the Bible, as he refers to him, he's preparing him to come to where he's at. He's in one destination. His son is going to travel to where he's at. So he wants his son to get there, and be prepared for the things that he might come in contact with, the different people that he might come in contact with. One of the first verses that I highlighted in this, which actually was the first verse, Titus 2, verses 1 through 3 reads, "But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged man be sober, grave, temperate. But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged man be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith and charity and patience. The aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste keepers at home, good, obedient, and their own husbands, to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed, and that young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded." So I went ahead on and read also verses 4, 5, and 6. And also in verse 7 it says, "In all things showing thyself a pattern of good works and doctrine, showing uncorruptedness, gravity, and sincerity." Again, in verse 7 it reads, "In all things showing thyself a pattern of good works and doctrine, showing uncorruptedness, gravity, and sincerity." So in those verses, what got my attention with those is that he's saying to Titus in a way that is more wordy, but what he's basically saying is that behave a certain type of way because people are watching you. They're looking at you, and a lot of them are using you as the example. You're right. Okay, so how you act, they're going to act, and that's why I reread verse 7, because that's basically what it's saying. When it said, "In all things showing thyself a pattern of good works and doctrine, showing uncorruptness, gravity, and sincerity," because if you show this as who you are, and if you do this consistently, it's not before long people are going to have to see that this is just who you are. You're not going to get off course. This is who you are. Either they're going to love you or they're going to hate you, but the ones who love you, they're going to watch you, and they're going to use you as their example in life until they can find themselves to be the example that they need. But you have to be the one that's going to, shine that light for them until they can make their own. And in verse 8, I highlighted, and it reads, "Sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, have no evil thing to say of you." So again, the way you walk, the way you talk, if you walk in that way every day, and this is who you are, you become that person. You're not born this person. But when you walk in consistency, and I think it's the word at the end of Titus, that's Titus 2, and the word is zealous. That means committed to a certain thing. Zealous, nonstop. But if you walk like that and you talk like that every day, they can't even try to lie on you, because it'll make themselves ashamed. Not because they're going to feel it in their conscience or they're going to feel bad for it, because the people who know you, who've been watching you, they're going to come to your defense and say, "No, that don't seem like that person, because that's not that's not what I've seen," because they're the same way every day. Another verse that I highlighted was verses 11 through 12 in Titus 2, which reads, "For the grace of God that bringeth salvation hath appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should be soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world." So these two verses right here, it speaks to past and future. And it's very interesting how it does that. It says, "For the grace of God that brings salvation hath appeared to all men." And then it says that that this is happening in this present world. So it's kind of showing you that God is God. God was God then, and God is God now. And these things that he's instructing us to do, to be sober, to be righteous, to be godly, even then that they was necessary, they're just as necessary now. And then the last two verses that I highlight was verses 14 to 15, which read, who gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from all iniquity, and purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works. These things speak and exhort and rebuke with all authority. Let no man despise thee. So with this action that you have, this consistency, this zealousness of being holy and being righteous and being godly and saying that word, that in itself is a power that rebukes and demands authority. And this is why it's so very important. And that is Titus 2. I titled it Preparation. But actually, I think I'm going to title it Example. I think I'm going to name it Example or Watching, but something. But this is what it's speaking. Titus 2 is speaking to him. He's saying to him in this, and the first one, Titus 1, he was preparing him for how to behave and how to act. And Titus 2, he's explaining why he should behave and act like that, because people are watching and he's an example. So I would say I'm going to name it Example to All.